Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Hall, Head of Marketing here at Charity Digital, and a very, very, very warm welcome to what is going to be a very special Charity Digital webinar series. Today actually marks the start of a three-part webinar series dedicated to informing, understanding, and upskilling you on everything Microsoft 365. But before we get started today, please do let us know who you are, where you're coming from. Drop us a message in the chat and let us know everything about you, where you're joining us from today, and what are you looking forward to most about learning Microsoft 365. We'll be waiting on those coming in, but while we're sort of letting you introduce yourself and get to know each other a little bit in the chat, I do just want to run over a few of the house rules. Slides and recording, we always get asked this. We do record all of our webinars, and we do make them available along with the slides after the webinar. Tends to be within a week, so do keep an eye on your inboxes and on the webinar page for those dropping as well. Closed captions are available should you need them. They're just in the bottom right next to the Q&A button on the sort of main console tab on the bottom there. If you wish to put them on, helps with some of the accents as well as other stuff. Q&A. We always like to leave a little bit of Q&A time in at the end, so make sure you do ask any questions that you've got. You can do so by submitting this through the Q&A button, not through the chat function. There's a separate Q&A button that looks like two speech bubbles sort of overlapping, Q&A underneath it. Hit that, submit your questions. People can then upvote them, and we'll get round to asking all the sort of top rated ones as well. We'll try our very best to get through them all. Don't fear if we don't, though. We will answer them offline and include them with the slides and resources when we send them out as well. The chat, I can see loads of people getting active in the chat now. Thanks very much, and lovely to see you all joining us. Chat's a big important part of these webinars. That's where you tend to get the most. The stuff on screen and what the presenters present is incredible, but we often find that the stories shared, the questions asked of each other, are the true value adds with webinars like this. So don't be afraid to ask things of each other as well as of the presenters as well. And feedback, I'll be asking you this again at the end, but we do submit a feedback form after every webinar. So if you take a little bit of time just to fill that in and send that back to us, that really does help us inform what we go on to do in future webinars as well. So now that we all know each other and we're all comfortable, we'll introduce ourselves, we'll kind of move on to the topic at hand. As I kind of said, this is the first in the three-part series, all about Microsoft 365. Coming up over the next few weeks, we'll be covering, how to get set up, how to get validated, and also how to get the most out of your Microsoft subscription. But before we can help with all that, it's the important factor of understanding what subscription you actually need, where we need to start. So in order to do that, we've brought along our in-house Microsoft 365 expert, Joel Hogan, to walk you through the most popular Microsoft subscriptions. And you can also walk you through how you can go about choosing the best one for your organization. So Joel, over to you. Big welcome.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for the warm welcome. Thank you. And hi, everyone. So great to see so many people here from many different places as well. So many I've been to as well. So yeah, like I said, so my name's Joel. I'm the Cloud Account Manager for Charity Digital. And one of my many tasks is that I run the 365 program for Charity Digital. So it can be anything from queries to helping you choose your licenses, anything like that, really. So I'm going to do my best today to break down some of the licenses that are out there. Okay, so starting off, so there are currently more than over 60 different Microsoft Cloud subscriptions and add-ons available specifically for eligible charities, and over a dozen of these are specifically dedicated to 365 subscriptions. So it's a very choice. What do you do? So with so much to choose, it can be quite overwhelming. And today we'll be discussing 4 of those options, maybe 4.5 after a quick review, but you'll see what I mean later. And these can be suitable for any organization that can suit their needs and meet their eligibility. So moving on. So a few notes on eligibility. This is a question that I get spoken to about every day. Interesting topic as well. And there's information out there about it, but I'd like to hopefully break it down a little bit simply for our viewers there today. So organizations based in the UK to have their eligibility considered for Microsoft's nonprofit offers need to hold charitable status. So you can hold charitable status by being registered with a register like the Charity Commission or Oscar if you're based in Scotland, the Northern Ireland Charity Commission if you're in Northern Ireland, Channel Islands as well. You've got the Association of like Jersey, Guernsey charities and all that, and even the official one on the Isle of Man as well. So you do have those. That's one way to prove your charitable status. The other one is, so some organizations will have, perhaps maybe they're just getting started off or they have a lower income. So you can actually apply directly to the HMRC for charitable tax exempt status. And this is often linked with gift aid. So as long as you're, if you hold your charitable status, linked to gift aid, you can be considered eligible. One note though, there is one type of non-profit organization that can apply for gift aid, but they don't hold charitable tax exempt status, so wouldn't be considered eligible at the moment. That non-profit type is community amateur sports clubs at the moment. Okay, now also charitable status alone does not guarantee eligibility to access Microsoft's non-profit offers. So Microsoft have predetermined what types of organizations that they wish to provide their non-profit offers to. It's usually to charities that have a mission to benefit the broader community. A further breakdown is available on the Microsoft non-profit portal, which we'll actually be visiting on our next video. So as well as that eligibility regarding your organization, one that is missed a lot, and understandably it's further down in the eligibility sort of criteria pages on Microsoft, is that eligibility is also based on the types of users within your organization as well. So with regards to using what Microsoft refer to as granted license, which we like to use the word free licenses, there's a few out there, and the types of members of an organization that can use that are either a paid staff member or an unpaid staff member who's an executive. Best way to describe that, because we do get a lot of questions about that, is an executive role is like a leadership role. So whether you're a director or a trustee, something along those roles, then you can use those free licenses. If your organization is made up of, like, say, volunteers, unfortunately, they won't be not currently eligible for any sort of free or granted licenses, but they can take advantage of the discounted licenses, which some of them will be breaking down in a moment. And again, like I said, more information regarding eligibility criteria can be explored on the Microsoft nonprofit portal under the eligibility section. So moving on. Okay, so Microsoft 365 Business Premium. Now, I'm sure many of you have seen this advertised everywhere. It's a really popular one at the moment. And it's great because you may have seen it has the offer for 10 licenses for free for the first 10 users, obviously. And as I just said, regarding eligibility, they need to be used by paid staff members and your unpaid executive roles. But anyway, breaking down the license itself, so it gives you access to, obviously, your web-only Office apps, so Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, which is great, something to be expected, as well as some great new features, well, not new, but they've been around for a while, but Microsoft Teams, which is something we certainly use in our organization. It's great communication. Then you've got your 1 terabyte OneDrive personal storage as well. So no longer do you need to store all your documents to a device. You can store them in the cloud. And on top of that, you can use SharePoint for sharing, I guess, sharing your documents between your team. Now it comes with a feature that shouldn't be overlooked, and that's downloadable Office apps. So what that means is that a single license for Microsoft 365 Business Premium will allow you to download your Office apps, such as your Word, Excel, PowerPoint, on up to 5 different devices. So with the world that it's been recently, and we're now moving into, or probably still very much into, a hybrid working scenario for many of you, the ability to download your licenses on if you are still going into your office, but also if you're working from home, even if you're working on a mobile device or a tablet as well, it's really useful to do that. And also the ability to download the licenses means that you can carry on using them if you're having maybe some temporary internet issues, which I'm sure we will do sometimes, a couple of times a year, probably in your calendar, to reset the old the router. So if you're facing any issues like that, then the downloadable Office apps come in really handy. Another couple of great features about Business Premium, it comes with a Windows 10 deployment. Now, this isn't like I would say a typical Windows 10 license where you just install it onto a PC like you may have done previously. It's more of an upgrade, but the upgrade is quite specific. Your device will need to be on Windows Pro 8.1 at a minimum, and that will allow you to upgrade to Windows 10, or I would say even 11 now, actually, with the release. So those of you who maybe inherit or get donated maybe laptops or devices which come with Windows Home, which is quite common, fortunately that particular feature won't work on that, so you'd still need a standard upgrade license just to move you onto Pro before taking advantage of the deployment. Another great feature as well, it comes with something called Enterprise Mobility and Security. It's a feature with a lot of features. Primarily it's device protection in terms of, as we just discussed, hybrid working. If you're working from home or at the office across multiple devices using your license, it allows an extra layer of protection on your devices. It's not an antivirus, but it does provide further protection when managing your connected devices remotely. Also comes with features, your Azure Active Directory, Intune, Endpoint Configuration Manager, Advanced Threat Protection, anything more. If you didn't understand any of the last things I said, don't worry, that's the kind of thing that the IT guys get quite excited about. And as you can see, the prices are there as well, and compared to the commercial price, you get a great saving even after you've taken advantage of the first 10 licenses. So moving on. So Office 365 E1. So this was previously called Office 365 E1 Volunteer, because the original 365 E1 license was retired late last year, which was originally a free license. So Office 365 E1 still is, I would say, a really great choice for organizations that employ a fair amount of volunteers. What I mean by that is that it does give you access to web-only Office apps as well, so they can still do your Office, like your Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. Still have access to Teams and SharePoint and your OneDrive storage as well. But it's a license really designed for those, as I say, volunteers who may be in and out, maybe work a couple of days a week or a couple of times a month, where they don't need all the features of a maybe more comprehensive license. So that's why one of the great reasons why it comes at a lower rate there. So yeah, it's one that I really recommend to volunteers. There are some other volunteer options and licenses out there, which I won't go into details today, but certainly you can ask questions about, and they have some various other features and costs as well. So moving on. So Microsoft 365 Business Standard, our most popular license, and for good reasons as well. The way I look at it, it's very similar to Business Premium in terms of the features of the downloadable Office apps on 5 devices, which is great. Obviously, access to Teams and OneDrive and SharePoint. It just doesn't come with the Windows upgrade or the Enterprise Mobility and Security, which you may not necessarily be looking for. It's a nice alternative decision if you feel your volunteers just might need a couple more features from their licenses, such as the ability to download if they are perhaps in an area with not the best internet connection. But yeah, no, it's really popular, one of our favorites, and actually we've got a special price on that one at the moment. The £2.20 per user per month is actually something that's lower than many of other sort of software resellers. So moving on from there. Okay, so Office 365 E3, one of my favorites. So again, kind of repeating myself a little bit, yep, gives you your downloadable Office apps, gives you your SharePoint, your Teams, etc. as well. But it comes with greater security measures. Now, when I'm fortunate enough to speak to lots of charities about 365, and we have a very large customer base, and many of them handle sensitive data, perhaps those in like the mental health field, if you're holding patient records or anything like that. And Office 365 E3, I would always say, is almost compulsory for organizations that handle sensitive data due to its safeguarding features, the ability to encrypt your emails as well. It's also a great design for UK organisations who really want to meet their GDPR standards. As you all know, that GDPR is a European law and not a global law. Not all of the Microsoft 365 licenses always have GDPR in mind, but E3, with the security measures in place, which come as extras with it, really helps meet your GDPR requirements, including like a data protection center. So if there's any point where somebody wants you to provide their details, it's got some features of how to help you go through that. And as you can see with the price there, it's a massive saving compared to the commercial rate as well. So yeah, it's a really great license, and almost, like I said, compulsory for organizations who really want to meet their GDPR compliancy. Okay, yeah, so thank you for moving on. And just as a side note, so Microsoft 365 E3, so that is pretty much a combination of everything that we've just spoken about. So that's all your Office 365 E3 features, but it also contains the Windows 10 deployment from Business Premium, and also the Enterprise and Mobility feature from Business Premium as well. So if you are perhaps working in a company with very sort of strict sort of GDPR compliance, you want to meet them, but you're also working across multiple devices, Microsoft 365 E3 may be the way to go for you. And moving on. Okay. So what's next, as you can see there. So everything you need to know about Microsoft 365. So in part 2, we'll be looking at how to get validated. So how to visit the nonprofit portal and lodge your details correctly so you can start gaining access to 365. And then part 3 is how to maximize the use of your subscription. So how to obtain them, you can get them via us, etc. And then we can explain how you can get the most of it, how to assign your licenses and make the most out of subscription and set up things in various different ways. So yeah, I've spoken a lot now, got a bit of a dry throat, but I'm ready to move on to any questions there today.
Thanks very much, Joel. Really appreciate the running through that quick for us. Lots of questions coming in. Don't forget to upvote as well if you have been asking questions. You can hit the little thumbs up, that'll pop them near the top, and we'll get through them. And obviously keep the questions coming as we're going through them as well. New ones might pop up. We have got plenty of time, so you can keep adding those in. So we'll start at the very beginning, because that's often the best place to start. Question from Stephen Holland here. They're already subscribers of 365 and have 3 users with data, each with OneDrive. How can this be migrated to a free subscription, put my teeth in, sorry, offered by Microsoft?
Sure. Well, it firstly depends on what version of 365 you're running. So if you're currently using something like 365 Personal or Family, unfortunately, those licenses cannot be migrated over the typical way, due to the fact that those are used for personal use, they're licensed for personal use rather than business use. So you may need to get the help of an IT person to migrate the information over to a new 365 account. If you're currently using a commercial account, what you can do is you can log into the Microsoft nonprofit portal with your existing tenant, and then submit your details to be reviewed for validation. So you don't, if you've already got a 365 account, a business one, you don't need to create a new account. You can log in with the existing one and submit your details. Hope that made sense.
Yeah, hope that makes sense, Stephen. If not, pop us another question and we'll get around to it as well. Couple of questions in a row here from Tim Moss. First questions is, with each license, is there only one email address available?
Yeah, so the way it works is, so this will kind of come into some of the rest of our series, but when in the 365 admin portal, you will create a username first. Now that username, so it could be tim@examplecharity.onmicrosoft.com could be your email address. Now that user account can't do anything without it being assigned a 365 license. So the license itself, it's per user per month. So it can only cover one email address. If you have multiple email addresses, you'll need a license for each if you're planning to use the various features of 365 via each different email address.
I'm right in thinking we're going to be covering more of that in the next one.
Yeah, definitely.
So it might be worth you to turn up for that one. Great. Just the next question from Tim. Is the charity digital cost of £3.80 applicable for each user?
Yes. So yeah, sorry if it wasn't clear on the size, but yeah, all the prices are per user per month on that one. So that's for all 365 licenses. We can provide a number of different payment options as well. One thing I didn't speak about is we do understand that some charities maybe don't have things like credit or debit cards, things like that. So we do offer options such as you can pay annually via invoice, but we can break that down probably in part 3, I reckon, for that one.
Shameless plugs for the rest of the series. I love it.
Keep doing
Absolutely love it. So next question up from Kate. The Office 365 E3 that you were mentioning, do you still get the 10 free licenses for that?
No, so the 10 free license is specifically for the business premium offer.
Great. And following that from Michael Lennon, Microsoft Business Premium includes Intune. To get the full benefit of Intune, do we need to purchase additional / other license?
So Intune, so yeah, Business Premium Intune comes with it because of the enterprise mobility and security. There are a couple of different license types for Intune. I believe, I mean, off the top of my head, I haven't got the details now, but there's some there might be Intune Pro or some upgrades like that. But if it already comes with the license, you should be able to. It shouldn't be too much more. Again, it comes down to what your needs are, really, with the license.
I think we can look into a few more specifics of that and send some stuff out, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Afterwards, that'd probably be more helpful for you, Michael. Moving on to Rebecca's question here. Rebecca's a bit confused between web-only and downloadable apps.
Sure.
The slide suggests web-only to be what I would expect, Team, SharePoint, and so on, and downloadable likewise, Word, Excel. But as described by yourself, it sounds like things like the standard for Word, Excel, etc., would in fact be online, presumably like G Suite. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, so subscriptions which come with web-only apps, they exist within the 365 portal itself. So the main thing is that you need to permanently be online to take advantage of the web-only apps, which is why I spoke so highly of the ability to download the apps, because if you're relying purely on the online version, the web-only app, should I say, and like I say, you do have an internet outage, whether it's your area or your provider, you won't even be able to use something like Word or Excel. Like it won't work properly. So that ability to download is, I think, really essential, particularly if you're working in perhaps in the sticks or somewhere like that.
Or have Virgin Media.
Yeah.
I regularly let people down here. Thanks for that, Joel.
No worries.
So next question from, oh no, we've answered that one already from Mike. And next question from Kate. Does access to Teams mean you can have the phone option as well?
Yeah. So getting on to the good questions now. So the phone option that's an add-on called Teams Voice. So you'll need this. It's like an add-on that you pay extra for per month. There's a few different options. One where it comes with a payment plan, one where it doesn't. We're actually partnered with a great organization called Class, actually, who can help sort of migrate your calls via Microsoft Teams, actually. So if you're on the Charity Digital Exchange website, if you check out Class, you've got some great offers there in terms of being able to put your phones and stuff through Teams.
Yeah, the Class also migrate everything over for you as well. And it does make a lot of sense if you're using Teams and general 365 suite as a whole to be able to manage calls through there as well. We've been working with Class now over a year, and they are a great organization. I say a little big organization who we partner really valuably. So yeah, worth checking out or getting in touch with us to see how we can help facilitate that if that's something of interest. Next question. There's loads coming in, so thank you very much, everybody, for submitting them just off the bat there. Richard's question: can you use Windows? I think it's Windows 10 deployment on more machines than users you have licenses for.
So we might answer that one, take that one offline actually, but my quick answer is per user. So it's, but we can take that one offline, see what we can do with that.
Yeah, I think that might be worth catching up with Siv about as well. So yeah, sorry, Richard. We'll come back to you at the end. We'll include an answer on that in with the slides and whatnot. But we need to do a little bit more digging into that. But great question. Thanks very much. Next question from Rich. We have 15 employees. How does this cost structure work for the additional 5 licenses for M365 standard or E3? Thanks.
Okay. So I know you said 15. But then you said the 5 additional. So it sounds like you might have got the licenses mixed up with business premium when you're speaking about business standard and E3. But in terms of pricing structure as an overall, the price stays the same per user. So it's, per user per month. If it's Office standard, it's 15 times 4 per month plus your VAT. My math skills are absolutely failing me right now. But like I said a moment ago, in terms of how payments, I mean, you can pay annually via us if you want to, or via debit or credit card on a monthly basis. I'm not sure if I've fully understood the question or answered it the best way, but please feel free to clarify me on that one.
I think it's to do with the cost structure of the 10 licenses plus 5 additional, the 10 free ones plus the 5 additional.
Okay, all right, sure. Well, yeah, then you just get the 10 free licenses, and then the further 5, you add up the cost for that. And then, like I said, you can pay from via debit, credit card, or via annual invoice.
Lovely jubbly. I hope that answered, Rich. But if not, please do ask another one. Pop it in the Q&A there. Next question: is business premium the only way to get in tune? Are there any other options to have centralized management needed for the Cyber Essentials accreditation?
So in Tune, you can purchase as a standalone license as well. So if it's just specifically in Tune you want, you can purchase that as a standalone license, add it to your user account. It's also included in standalone enterprise mobility and security licenses. So that feature I spoke about in Business Premium, that enterprise security license can be purchased separately, both in E3 and E5 forms, and that also comes with Intune. So it's either Business Premium, Intune as a standard license, or Enterprise Mobility as a standard license would be your options then.
Well, thanks, Joel. Moving on, next question from Peter. We currently have an on-site server which manages our users' login credentials. Oh, sorry, it's just jumped up. Sorry, I lost that. I'll start that one again. Found it. We currently have an on-site server which manages our users' login credentials and stores our files. We also have Office 365 E1 and E2, which we use for Teams and emails. Our on-site Office software is Office 2016, all free for 100 users. Which version of the one spoken about today would you recommend as a close match for our current setup?
Well, using E2, which is a long time retired license there, and can't get that anymore. A mix of E1, I imagine that's the old free license, which got retired last year as well. So luckily you got in there before before they disappeared. In terms of 2016, I guess really, if you want a combination of all of them, you're probably looking at business standard at a minimum there, because you're getting your downloadable licenses and still access to the cloud as well with OneDrive, etc. So business standard at a minimum, I would say.
Great, thanks very much. Joel had a couple of upvoted ones come in. That's what threw us off a whack there. So I'll jump back to those. Yvette has asked, we use Google for our storage, email and online chat, but we need Microsoft products for some of the NHS templates. Do we still need to get the full package from Microsoft, or can we just get the downloadables at a different rate?
Good question, but for the non-profit subscriptions, so these discounted ones are all these sort of packages, might be one terminology you might use, where you can't just get the downloadable apps. You might want to consider, actually, there's one called Microsoft 365 Apps for Enterprise, which I haven't gone through today. Out of all the licenses, that might be one you might want to look at if you're just specifically looking at the apps. You can research that one on the Microsoft sites, and it's also another type of license that we provide as well.
Well, thanks, Joel. Next up from Lisa, is there a limited time period these discounted prices will remain for charities once signed up, e.g. a year, multiple years, that's all?
Well, nothing lasts forever, I will say that, and that and that's shown quite clearly with my previous answers, where licenses do, for one reason or another, get retired or they change eventually. In terms of, if you're worried about, if you suddenly get charged or anything like that, I haven't come across that structure yet with Microsoft. They tend to either I guess kind of retire the license, and you either retain it or they just kind of switch it off. There's another free license at the moment, not coming to my mind at the moment, that's kind of going for that procedure at the moment. So just take advantage of it while you can, and enjoy it. Enjoy it as long as possible before you need to move on.
Brilliantly worded, Joel. I think that, yeah, I don't think anyone could have said that better. Yeah, brilliant. So moving on to Richard's question, we have a number of Office 365 E2 licenses. Can we add Microsoft 365 licenses for some users without losing our E2 licenses? And I do mean E2, not E103.
Yeah, sure. No, thanks for clarifying as well, you two. Yes, so I'm not sure, I probably didn't make it clear with this presentation, but you can mix and match licenses, like your own pick and mix. A conversation I've had before with organizations that handle sensitive data is that not all of the users in the organization actually handle the sensitive data. So why should they pay more for a license that has that feature when they don't need to? So there are occasions where some users might need more features than the other. So yes, you can still retain your E2 licenses, as far as I'm aware at the moment, and still have a mix and match of other things as well.
Yeah, Tim actually built on that question as well, because he was asking specifically, could they have business premium for staff and 365 E1 for volunteers? So I think you've covered that as well.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
But lovely to add a little bit of a use case to it as well. Another question from Stephen here. We have 365 Business via BT and thinking of 365 Business Premium. Can you say again how to do the transfer, please?
So going from BT, so there are some challenges from going from products that were sold by a third party, such as BT or something like that, over to direct to 365. But if you're referring to, you're currently paying like a commercial price, you will need to visit the non-profit portal with your existing account and then get that validated, which we're, again, shameless plug, we're covering that one next video.
No, well, that's the whole point. The whole point is to carry the journey on. So please do come and join us in a few weeks' time, and we'll go into that in a lot more detail as well. Next question from Celia. Can it be used on Macs?
Oh yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Your Mac users are certainly welcome in the world of 365.
I am.
Not me. I get scared of them. I remember when I got an iPhone once, I saw the word Safari. I thought it was a video game, so I didn't go on the internet for years. But no, I'm not knocking it. Mac certainly has its place in the world.
I love it. I could never use a Windows product again. But yes, I can. And I can vouch for that as a Microsoft user on a Mac. Next question from John. Are directors use their own PCs? Can the downloadable apps license be recovered and reused if they move on? Yeah,
the way that works is you simply unassign the license from them. So this will kind of another shameless plug into one of our other parts. But the way it works is you have a user account, and as to be able to use the user account correctly, it needs to be assigned a license. So if that person was to leave your organization, you simply unassign the license. You can delete their user account if you want to, and you've got a license spare to assign to their replacement, I guess.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot. Moving on to Tony's question, where does MS Access fit in with these licenses?
Good question. Yeah. So Microsoft Access is certainly included in Business Standard, business premium. So none of the volunteer licenses or free licenses, apart from the business premium one, which is free for the first 10 users. So yeah, access is certainly included in business standard, business premium levels there, so you can get that still.
Well, thanks, Joel. Next question from Kathy: is Slack part of the 365 suite?
No, it wouldn't come with that. I believe you can have it as an add-on, but it's not included within that.
Yeah, I think it's more of an integration. But obviously you've got Teams, which does very similar stuff to Slack as well. And a bit of useless knowledge for you, Kathy, is Slack's actually owned by Salesforce now. They took them over sometime last year. So one for a really bad pub quiz, I'm sure. Next question from Abby: does Microsoft 365 Business Basics stay free and include Outlook? If it doesn't include Outlook, can we buy as an add-on?
Good question. And another question about a license that we haven't spoken about today. So it's another one of the granted free licenses. So whether it always stay free, again, Chris, nothing lasts forever. We don't know. We don't know. It could be retired at some point. We don't know. It does. Business Basic does come with Outlook, but it is, again, a web-only version. So just watch out for that internet connection with it, but it does come with Outlook.
Yeah. Great, thank you very much. Moving on to our last few questions here, everyone. So if you've got any left, do get them in now. Last thing we want is to wrap this all up and someone leaves them. You feel like we've answered something, so do get them in while you can. Moving on to Teresa's question. If you are on the business premium and have licenses for all staff and trustees, what options are there for our volunteers? Can we purchase different licenses? The full package isn't required. Many thanks. I think you might have touched on this earlier.
Yeah. So your volunteers can certainly take advantage of 365. One of my suggestions earlier was Office 365 E1. Obviously, because it has a couple of simpler features, but most of the time, volunteers won't always need as many features as sort of full-time staff members. If I'm wrong on that organisation or on that, then please let me know. But yeah, volunteers can take advantage of any of the paid discounted licenses discussed today, and the other ones I haven't discussed today as well.
Thanks, Joel. And we will include a breakdown of all this as well afterwards. Just to clarify, there also is a heap of this in writing in many articles that we've produced on Charity Digital as well, which will be included in resources that will be sent out afterwards. Also, next question from Jonathan. I have free 365 Business Premium, which I use for Outlook email, but use Office 2016 for the applications. I've avoided Office 365 because I travel to Africa where internet is poor and data are expensive. But with downloadable apps, is there any advantage to removing Office 2016 and moving everything to 365 Business Premium? To migrate, should I just uninstall the 2016 and install the 365 apps? I have Windows 10 Pro operating system.
It's a really good question, actually. I've spoken to a lot of charities who do their work overseas, and I would say I think you're set up at the moment because having that access to your downloadable apps of Office 2016 could work for you for the time being, because even though 365 does have downloadable apps, because it's still part of the cloud, it will want to update as frequently as possible. And if you're away from an internet connection for quite a sufficient amount of time, perhaps in Africa, I don't know what you're doing out there, but I would say in short, just keep the 2016 license or move over to one of the on-prem licenses that we still have going at the moment, such as 2019, 2021, and just take advantage of those, just because I think your circumstances, I think an on-premise license would suit you, but it's good to have access for 365 for that cloud access as and when you need to.
Well, thanks, Joel. Couple of last questions just flying in here. Amanda, just checking, are all the downloadable apps available in all the 365 subscriptions, and what ones are available?
So the downloadable apps are not available in every subscription. So if you do have a look at the website, it'll tell you they're downloadable. But the ones I've spoken about today, so Business Premium, Business Standard, Office 365 E3, and Microsoft 365 E3 all have downloadable apps. The one standing out today, Office 365 E1. That does not have downloadable apps. Business Basic, which we both briefly touched on earlier, that does not have downloadable apps either. And there are some other volunteer licenses such as Microsoft 365 F3 that also doesn't have downloadable apps. So not all of them. I think I mumbled on that one. I think I went a bit of verbal diarrhea on that one, excuse me. But yeah, not all of them have it.
Well, thanks. Just moving to Mike's question. Apologies if I missed this, but is there a purchase limit similar to the 50 in 2 years that applies to purchasing of 365 subscriptions?
It's a good question, and the 50 every couple of years comes from our on-premise offers. So yes, there are restrictions, so which are listed on our websites and Microsoft as well. So not all of them have restrictions. So with things like E3, you can purchase as many as you need. But then with something like Business Standard, you can only purchase a maximum of 300. And many of them have that kind of user limit. So Business Standard, Business Basic, I believe Business Premium as well. But yeah, there is on the Microsoft website, they'll tell you your user limit.
Thanks, Joel. Justine asks, and I think you touched on this ever so briefly before, but I think you might be able to expand on a specific issue here. Sorry, it's Justin, not Justine. My reading's terrible. Sorry, Justin. Are there any subscriptions within 365 that would cover use of Windows 10, 11 Enterprise, or do we rely on OS upgrade licenses purchased separately applied to existing Windows Pros licenses?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the Microsoft upgrade, which comes with Business Premium, so specifically, it can allow you to go up to Windows 10 and 11. Not sure on the Enterprise one, I might have to get back to you on that part, but it's not, you shouldn't obtain that license just to upgrade your operating system. You will need an operating system license, such as the OS upgrade, and we're hoping to release a new operating system license, hopefully in the next few months. We haven't got too many details about it yet, but it's something incoming, we hope.
Watch this space.
Mm-hmm.
Still plenty of questions coming in. Thanks very much, everyone. Next question from Steve. Signed up to Microsoft Business 365 Premium. If we need more downloadable Office licenses apps than the 10 included, can we still buy Office Standard, no software assurance from yourself?
Yeah, so that's kind of like two halves click together, that one. So software assurance doesn't apply to 365 licenses. Software assurance is an on-premise license thing. So on-premise license would be Office 2019, 2021, instead of Office 365. But going into the other half of the question, you can take advantage of the Microsoft 365 Business Premium first 10 licenses for free. And then to help keep your costs low, because every amount helps right now, you can have your rest of your users on the Business Standard license at our special price of $220 per user per month.
Thanks, Joel. Richard's actually added a clarification to his window deployment question. They have a number of Windows 10 Pro laptops used by our Office E2 users. They would like to manage those laptops with Windows deployment, but not have to buy the Microsoft 365 licenses for E2 users. Is that specifically possible? For example, it's not a question about completely unlicensed users, but differently licensed users. Understand if the answer needs to be offline.
Possibly offline, that one. I mean, it sounds like you just want to get upgrade licenses anyway, not use the 365 one. It sounds like you just want to buy actual standalone licenses like the OS upgrade, etc. And hopefully our future one, that might be a more better solution for you on those needs.
Brilliant. We'll take a look at that offline, Richard, but thanks for clarifying. Really appreciate it. Kate's also added another question. If you wouldn't mind running over the difference between Business Basic and Business Premium.
Sure. So Business Basic is eligible for paid staff members and unpaid executive staff members, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. So it can't be used by your volunteers or contractors or students or anything like that. And main difference is, I mean, Business Premium comes with downloadable Office apps, which Business Basic doesn't. So you've got those Virgin network internet experiences there, you might struggle with that. And Business Premium also comes with the features of the Windows in deployment, such as Windows 10, Windows 11, and also comes with enterprise mobility and security for your device protection and Intune, those things as well. But Microsoft 365 Business Basic will still come with, like I said, web apps, Teams, still give you some OneDrive storage, access to SharePoint for sharing. Yeah, that's it really. Yeah, just Business Premium's more comprehensive license, just better overall.
Spot on. Thanks, Joel. Appreciate going into detail about that. Jonathan's actually got back in touch to elaborate on his question as well from before. He's asking, would you suggest still moving the UK Office desktop to Office 365 Premium while keeping the laptop which travels to Africa on Office 2016, 2019? Is it vital that I keep the two in sync?
It's a good question. It really comes down to the laptop. I would say in terms of using 365, if it's shared at all, anything like that, like it's not just one user, it's multiple people uses it, I would always suggest using an on-premise license such as your 2016 one, which you mentioned earlier. But if it's following a person as an individual, because 365 is user-based, then yeah, I mean, move over to 365. I mean, it's, it is the future of 365 licenses. It's coming over. It's like the cloud. It is like Galactus from Fantastic Four. But don't fear it. It's a good thing. The cloud is a great thing.
Jonathan's just said it's just his laptop.
Oh, okay. Well then for flexibility, I mean 365 will allow you flexibility. Well, a terrible answer.
But you said all you needed to. So brilliant. Thanks very much. Next question from Alan. With 365 Business Premium, can we add free users up to the 10 user limit at any time? Thinking of starting with just one user to try it out.
Yeah, so at the moment it is any time. I'm glad you asked that question, because one thing that we haven't discussed today, but we actually discussed in a video late last year regarding some eligibility changes, is that anybody who is using granted or free licenses by Microsoft, they have an 85% utilization rate. What that means in English is that, say if you're a charity, I don't know, you save cats or something like that, and you're a one-person charity, but then you've requested 300 Microsoft 365 Business Basic licenses and you've just stockpiled them, that can as a bit of a cause of concern. So yes, I like the fact that you can start off with one because you might only have the one person, but you can add more as the users go on. So in short, yes, you can do that, and don't get greedy with the free licenses. Only order what you need.
And it grows with you. I think that's one of the benefits. If as you grow, it can grow with you, which is the nice thing about it. Homely.
Yes.
Couple more questions left here. Anonymous question here: is it possible to upgrade our Windows Home machines to Windows Pro licenses? Thanks.
Yes, but not by 365. Unfortunately, we just had one of our licenses that did that has just been retired. It was something called Get Genuine, but I've already pointed a hint at a future license, hopefully coming in the next few months, which will allow you to do a clean install to Windows Pro. Like I said, no exact time yet. We hope to have some information in March. Doesn't mean it's going to be released in March, but just watch this space on that one. We can certainly provide that, give you some more information on that licensing option.
Brill. There's a question just to carry over from the chat from Jim. To use Azure Active Directory, does everyone have to have the same license or just the admin?
We'll move that one over for that one.
Good question.
It's a good question. I always get that one. People ask about Azure, and I always go to our IT manager, Sib, Azure.
There we go. So
yeah, we'll get you a clear answer on that one for sure.
Someone need to bounce off the IT manager as well. So thanks very much. Last question from Lisa. We currently have physical network servers synchronizing across each site. The danger is if the internet drops during the process overnight. However, we are starting discussions on whether to move to cloud servers for our charity's IT network systems for cross-working. Which products would you need to start looking at if we're also thinking of moving to the MS365 choices?
Sure. Well, Microsoft 365 can also help you with your server needs as well. Back to this previous question of the scary one about Azure, that can certainly come in handy for that. I guess your main challenge is moving from physical servers to the cloud. It's something that many organizations have been doing for a good past few years now. It's been a hot topic. So your challenge is to hopefully get a decent IT company who can help you with that change from a physical server, because it can be a little bit strenuous. But if they do it right, they should be doing it across a weekend, because when you're doing that kind of migration, your emails ins and outs will be down for possibly anywhere between 7 to 72 hours. So that's something to bear in mind when you're going to move that change. But to shorten my answer again, I've waffled here. Microsoft 365, it can help you with both your server needs as well as emails and things like that.
Well, thanks. Michael, the Azure question we will share as well. I'm sure Mimi's answering that for us in the back end there. But yeah, we will share all the things we didn't get around to cover, we'll share in the resources as well. Last question from Stephen. Before Christmas, we purchased 3 licenses for Office 2019, which have not been downloaded. If we take 365 standard, will we be able to get a refund?
Before Christmas, if you have a specific date, the usual return date for licenses is 60 days. So if you haven't, yeah, should be fine then. Just make sure you email that request to customer service. They'll just need a request in writing saying that and just explain that you don't need the licenses, you move into 365, and they should be able to put that request in directly to Microsoft for you.
Well, is that our customer service?
Yeah, our customer service, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what customer service at charitydigital.org.uk.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Brilliant. There you go. And someone's managed to sneak in with another question. As I said last one before, so I've told you a fib there. What's the basic Windows spec that you can use 365 with? Does it need to be a Pro-only version, or is it something specific?
If you talk about the operating system, you can use it on Windows Home in that sense. But usually there's a breakdown. If you're looking at a specific license, usually it will tell you what the requirements of your laptop are, like what type of card, like if it's not a graphics card, but you know what I mean. Like I remember the old Nvidia ones back in the day that were required to play.
You need 300 megabytes available to play this game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that kind of breakdown is usually on a product spec. If you like the sound of like one of the licenses that we've spoken about today, you can check the product spec on its requirements on our website.
Brilliant. Yeah, and if you're ever struggling as well, you can always give us a call. Give Joel and his wonderful team a call, and they'd be more than happy to help, I'm sure, as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, that is all the questions. Thank you very much, everybody, for submitting them, and thank you for participating. It was a really interactive, engaging webinar. Joel, you're an absolute bank of knowledge. Thank you very much for agreeing to do this and putting this on for everybody today. It's been truly insightful. So thank you very much, everybody, for your time. As we have been shamelessly plugging throughout the webinar, there's more coming. This is just one of 3. You can see on the screen there that the next one's coming up on the 8th of February, and that's all about understanding the validation processes that you need to have behind your Microsoft 365 subscriptions. That'll be followed by how to maximize your Microsoft 365 subscription on February 22nd. So look forward to seeing you all then, and don't forget to fill out our feedback form that we'll send right after this. The recordings, resources, and everything that we've promised to get you will be coming out in the next week or so. So do please keep an eye on your inboxes, and do visit the webinar page on the site as well, because that's where we tend to add everything. Brilliant. So thank you very much. Thank you, Joel, and we'll see you in a few weeks' time.
Thanks for having me, everyone. Nice to speak to you all.